Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone? This is Brett Bovin, and welcome to the motherfucking electronic campfire. We are not politically correct on this show. Strongly believe hunting and brotherhood go hand in hand together. So, yes, there's going to be hazing along us here as the team. Hopefully, Wyatt joins along with us. If not, we're going to kick him off right away. But we also invite you guys to haze along with us as well. Like I said, this is a brotherhood. There's hazing on, picking on each other, but it's all within due love. And we respect each other, and we love hunting. That's what it all comes about. Now, Sundays and Tuesdays, we do a live show every Sunday and Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, let me make sure we say this right. There is no 10 ring news for today. However, I will mention this. We switched our live show start time to 8 p.m. We only do a state-specific show the first Tuesday of every month. We don't do a live show on the last Tuesday of every month. The last Sunday of every month, it's either going to be a Stump a Chump trivia night, a team-only event, or a call-in night. So stay tuned with that. If you also want the Whitetail Advantage calendar on your own phone, send us your email and we can get you set up so that way you know exactly what's going on with the show, who's going to be going on our future shows, when we don't have a show. That way you kind of stay in tune with what's more going on hand in hand. I'll get more into all the other crap later on at the end of the show. It is episode 151. Holy crap, we're getting there. We might have to do something different for episode 200. Might just say, that's episode 200. Yay, we're fucking here. Sweet. All right, that's good enough. Anyways, enough of me chit-chatting. I invite you all to pull up a chair, gather around the electronic campfire, and join myself, Squatch, and Johnny, and our guest Wyatt as we learn more about Prince Edward Islands and Wyatt himself. And I'm just going to stop talking and whisper on as we get into this soothing setting of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. It's a very soothing night. We need to get some ASMR stuff in here and just be very soothing. I'm just going to keep going.
Or we can just drink whiskey and make fun of you.
Exactly. I was going to keep going until one of you motherfuckers interrupted me and just stopped me talking.
I was kind of digging the Bob Ross segment you were making out to be there.
Yeah, we're gonna start off by painting right here.
Yeah.
You gotta layer it. We gotta start from the top, work your way down.
Shows a happy accident. You can't.
Yeah,
Now, Brett was a happy accident.
Now I'm gonna put a bush right here.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a secret between you and I.
Okay.
Now, don't you fucking tell anybody about that bush. Or I'll come to your house and stab you.
Yeah. They say Bob Ross's paintings were all the spots that he hid the bodies from people.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you regret joining the show already? Because we've been talking with off air and now we're here now already.
Hey, man, I got my alcohol. I'm ready for it.
Perfect.
Welcome to the show.
That makes
Right
everything
in.
better.
Well, Wyatt, for anyone that doesn't know, you can give a little background about yourself, introduce yourself for everyone.
All right, yeah. So, as you already know, my name's Wyatt. I'm a hunter from originally from the state of Maine. Now I'm PEI. I'm a current PhD student at the University of Prince Edward Island, and I'm an avid big game hunter.
Oh, man. You and I talked a while ago. I always request that we do a meet and greet with all the guests before we do the live show. You're a big fisherman, though. Like, right? That's what you went into studying fish, correct?
Yeah.
So what did you actually major in school? Where'd you go to school for and all this and stuff like that?
Well, I started out at the University of Maine, degree in zoology. So initially, I actually wanted to clone recently extinct mammals. Didn't exactly have the funding for it. Colossal Biosciences popped up and decided to take on all the projects I eventually wanted to work on. So I'm like, well, there goes that avenue. So pivoted back to fish, did my master's in wildlife conservation management, and then came up here for environmental sciences where I focus on Atlantic salmon ecology.
So your main focus is salmon.
Yeah. So seeing how like habitat and invasive species are impacting them across the northern Atlantic.
I love salmon. It tastes delicious as shit. Not gonna lie. I'll smash a bunch of shit for some salmon right now.
I love
All
salmon.
I had was leftover spaghetti for tonight. I just got wrapped up in stuff. Now I want salmon. Thanks, Wyatt, for bringing up salmon.
That does sound pretty tasty right now.
See, I'm not the only one.
No, yeah.
Can't you DoorDash it? Get it delivered?
I'll just go down
I
and catch
I
one.
don't like DoorDash.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
They even have that where you are?
Me?
No, Brett.
Oh.
DoorDash is everywhere.
Dude, I didn't know they had it way out where you are.
Do they have it up there with you, Wyatt?
Yeah, I think they actually do up here in Canada. Weirdly enough.
Huh. Flavors of the
Dang.
forest. Flavors of the forest commented, the river in front of my house is full of salmon right now. The main Creek. I can't say that word.
Umpqua,
Umpqua River.
Umpqua River.
Me and my highly
Man,
pronounceable.
I want to go there.
I'm going
They're
to
from
go.
Oregon for anyone that doesn't know.
But you should. I just booked my flight out there for end of August, beginning of September for my hunt. So
You hear him, Brett.
I just booked my flight out there going to November.
dude, I'm gonna go stick a fucking elk. So yeah, I'm
Why
talking about it.
sounds like I just booked my flight into Oregon.
I'm Johnny Nitro. I'm somebody, and I just booked my flight. I'm going with flavors in the forest. I'm gonna sit out there and shoot elk. Yeah.
I'm gonna go hunt elk and fly. I can't wait. Oh my god! Yay!
Yeah. That's
Okay,
what
so-
hunters do.
So that's our 13-year-old segment. Welcome to the show.
Here's Michael. Wyatt, leave now when you can. Let's just get this over with because Michael's going to ask about 50 million other questions here tonight. Although he hasn't asked one question yet that I haven't seen yet. Why have you tried a possum?
I can't say I have.
Damn it! I really thought you were going to say that you did. He loves. I can't wait to find the one guest that we get on here and he says, "Yep, I tried a possum." I wish we could record every reaction when he says.
We get to
someone said that they did.
Arkansas or like maybe Tennessee or something like that. Somebody there might have.
One of those Appalachian states.
Yeah.
West Virginia or Louisiana would be my best bet.
Yeah, Louisiana. Yeah, I'd say Louisiana too.
Well, we had Boondocks they came on and Xavier Leggett, wide receiver, he's eating raccoon. So
Ugh, nah.
I
much
wouldn't be
rabies
surprised if
epidemic
we didn't try possum.
Yeah.
So why are you big into hunting as well, or are you mainly into fishing? Or are you kind of like a mix of both?
Definitely a mix of both. I've been a very avid deer hunter since age like 10 or 11. Just recently got into black bear in Maine the past couple of years, and got into moose hunt a couple of years back. So when the fishing season closed off in the fall, I'm in the woods with a gun. So
Wow. So you got all your kind of your basis of your outdoor life from Maine, correct?
yeah.
And then you just recently moved up to PEI.
Yep. Yeah, did this past fall. So been
What's
here
it
for a
like
little while.
transitioning from Maine to Canada?
It's interesting. I at the time I didn't know that PEI was devoid of any big game. So I'm driving through New Brunswick, dodging deer all over the highway. I'm like, oh, this is off to a wonderful start. So I get over on the island and I'm looking around like, man, this is all agriculture. I'm gonna hit a deer like any 20 feet from now. So I'm driving like 20 miles slower than I should be, just creeping through the island to get to my apartment. And then I'm like, oh wow, I didn't encounter a deer at all today. That's weird. Find out the next day there's not one on the island. So
Wow.
So it was a lot like Maine, like just looking at like the topography and everything like that, but no big animals to speak of. And that was pretty much the only difference, really. At least I found.
I have a question before we get into the story of that you shared with me. What's it like kind of being on an island? I mean, it's a pretty big island in my opinion. And what's it like to live there in general, and hunt there, fish there? What's it kind of like? Do you feel kind of weird, like you're isolated in your own way in some capacity?
Weirdly enough, I didn't really ever get that feeling up here. I grew up on the coast of Maine, so I was always used to, being right on the ocean. So, I mean, the one weird thing being up here is like all the sand is like really red. So like you go out to like any sand dunes, if you pull up like a picture online, they're all like maroon colored. So I mean, other than that, fairly similar. I mean, the place is full of rivers and whatnot. So I mean, fishing opportunities are great. I could actually, legally fish for Atlantic salmon, and it's also the one place in the eastern seaboard you have wild, self-sustaining steelhead, which are migratory rainbow trout. So plenty of those to fish for too.
Wow. I've never been really. I grew up doing some fishing. I like to fish. Don't get me wrong. When I can, I've only been out for bluegill, and it's always been my dream to catch a massive pike. Like, I'd love to catch salmon. Don't get me wrong, but my buddy, he helped me catch a pike. It was like a baby pike, but I'd love to catch a bass one day. I just want to catch. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I remember I was up in the UP spending time with my grandparents up there, and we went out to this cabin type area that my grandpa was staying at as well. And I was going on the dock, and I looked down, and this fucking massive pike was just swimming right underneath. And this is like middle of June, July, something like that. And it's right underneath. And I'm just like, I wanted to jump in and grab the motherfucker. I was like, ever since that day, I just wanted to catch a giant, massive pike. Is that just me, or is it someone else? Like, Squatch, do you have a dream of catching like some specific type of fish?
Well, yeah, I go after big trout and stuff like that. I've targeted Lakers up in our one reservoir. I mean, they're in excess of 25, 30 pounds. I've caught 12 pounders up there, which is really super, super duper good for where I go. Both reservoirs, they're great fisheries. They hold huge brown trout, huge lake trout. So it's one of those things where I try to, get on the fish and absolutely try to catch the biggest species there that I can. It's just a cool thing. Starting out when I got on the reservoir, we knew there was big Lakers there. We only caught like 5 or 6 pounders the first year we were there. Next year we made a couple strategic moves. We got on 12 pounders, man. So it's really cool. And I'm fishing. I've had bigger fish on there. They've broken line or gotten off, and it's one of those things. It just happens. But I know people that dive to check the dams and stuff, and they said there's fish down there that'll scare you. So I know they're there. Well, we'll get them.
John, before we get to you, Michael's asking, do you drink? What? Sortilege?
I have no idea what that is.
Do you drink sortilege? I've never even heard of that. Explain, Michael.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only idiot that's like confused. No. Anyway, John, what about you? Is there like a dream fish of yours that you want to catch? Besides, like, it'd be amazing to catch a shark, don't get me wrong, but like here in like the local states, is there like something cool that you want to?
I would love to catch a muskie, man. Like that's the fish of 10,000 casts. I mean, that's like your pike, but it's big brother. But I mean, I've never caught one. I've never even caught a pike. I'm in pond fishing, bass, sunfish, bluegill, stuff like that. But I think a muskie would be my funnest one. I've caught salmon and stuff out on the lake, but
Wyatt, what's been your favorite catch, or what would be your dream catch?
So if we're just sticking to the North America, definitely a big sea run salmon. Getting that on the fly rod would be just phenomenal. If we're going beyond that, though, Mongolian taimen, second to none.
Nice.
That would be
really cool.
My buddy, if I want to know anything about bass fishing, I go with my buddy Dan. That motherfucker, I was the one. He started this with Whitetail Advantage here, and then he got busy with life, so he's hoping to come back soon. Anyways, I got him involved into hunting, and everyone knows if you've been listening to the show, like I said, he's a big fisherman. He loves bass fishing. And I told him, try hunting one time. Try it. You're going to love it. It's 10 times more expensive than your fishing shit. Don't get me wrong. He goes, are you sure? I spent like $10K on a boat and $3K on this fishing rod all together. I'm like, trust me, dude. hunting is 10 times more expensive and it's 10 times more fun. And I said, I love fishing. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to hunting, it's second to none in its own capacity. And he tried it 2 years ago. Fucking loves it. Don't get me wrong. He loves to hunt fish still. But he's like, Brett, you're right. I spent so much shit on this stuff and I love to hunt.
I got to have that balance, you know. My seasons, like now we're in the middle of turkey season right now here in the Northeast, and you know, I'm usually fishing by now too. But every time I get ready to go out, it's either downpouring rain or 40-mile-an-hour winds, and I'm not going out in that shit on a rowboat trying to row around a reservoir. I'll get capsized. But just having that balance of the different seasons, you know, summertime you got your prep time. You know, getting out there, getting your stuff ready for the fall. The fall comes, you're in it to win it. And then, you know, you're right back to wintertime and you're predator hunting. And, you know, it's just that circle, man. I got to have that balance. I can't just say I like one thing the best. I love everything. I love everything. I mean, there's nothing that could take the place of killing a whitetail with a bow and arrow.
Right.
You know, it's just, but everything, like, you know, I got that harvested the turkey the other day with Frank and made great memories. We had a blast. It was, well, I mean, you know, it's just that time of the year. It's awesome. You know, as long as I'm doing something, I'm happy.
I just had a question. Oh, that's what it was. Michael was explaining where to go. He said it's a Canadian whiskey.
I haven't seen it up here in any of the liquor stores. Might be a regional thing potentially up here. I'll have to give it a try though.
This is the name of it.
I'm embarrassed.
Sortilege. I'm more in shock that Johnny doesn't know.
I'm embarrassed that Johnny doesn't know, and that Michael's 14 and he knows.
Yeah, no
I
shit.
know, right? It must be some bottom of the barrel whiskey stuff.
Like you buy it for just a penny, like my Tippy Cow type stuff.
Exactly.
There, make it on my own ticket. Anyways, why I gotta ask. You gotta share the story now of this deer.
All right, so
remember the one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. So
right.
To give you guys some backstory, PEI, perfect habitat. You'd think there'd be like tens of thousands of deer here, not one. So the one deer in recent times to actually make it to the island, it swam 8 miles from mainland New Brunswick all the way to the island. You know, and they'll do that occasionally, deer and moose, but typically they end up drowning halfway and just end up floating dead on shore. So, you know, occasionally you'll find like a moose or a deer carcass and like, oh, well, it tried. This one actually succeeded, so it got all the way to the mainland. I mean, the thing was exhausted, you know, barely moving. It was eating a little bit. Within, I'm trying to remember exactly how long I was told it actually survived. Got up, and it was, again, really slow and couldn't react. Got right onto the highway and got immediately hit by a 18-wheeler. Like 10, 15 minutes into landing on the mainland of PEI.
Oh, my God.
So we had a deer population for like less than 10 minutes or so.
He told me that story when we met before the show, and I was just like, what the fuck, man?
Well, and not only that, he left the part out that the driver of the truck got ticketed for killing an animal out of season that's not in season.
A critically endangered species on that island.
Yeah.
That is, so you still have no deer on that island?
Nope, they tried historically bringing them to the island back when people wanted stuff to hunt, and I don't know if it was a combination of bad winters or just no protection on them, but they literally all got shot immediately, or people started feeding them and then they just died off.
Let me ask you this. Okay, yeah, you're on an island, but what's the landscape there? So it can't house any deer when they try to import them there?
Oh, now it can easily house them. You know, you have less harsh winters, you know, past 10, 20 years. You got tons of agricultural land. You know, you got that nice edge habitat that whitetails like, you know, going between forest and like fields and stuff like that. Yeah. The problem is a lot of the people up here are potato farmers or corn farmers, and anytime anyone tries to bring anything in, including turkeys, they shot that down thinking that they're going to wipe all their crops out. So anytime they try to bring in any like big game of any sort, it always gets tossed, which is a huge shame. I mean, this would be like probably the best deer hunting in North America if they put deer up in here.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So the biggest thing you can shoot in PEI is a goose. I kid you not.
I was about to ask, what's the biggest game there you can hunt? That's a goose. that area is like the home. Like if you want to migratory bird hunting, that's like the upper echelon of places to hunt.
Yeah, I mean, world class destination people to come for waterfowl. I mean, you'll see just swarms of geese as thick as like mosquitoes just coming in every fall. Same thing with black ducks and so many other different types of waterfowl. So, I mean, if you're a big waterfowl hunter, this is definitely the place to be.
Man, I might be missing it, but what makes it so drawing? What makes it so perfect for birds to go there?
I don't know if it's just like so many agriculture fields that just have so much like corn lying around on the ground that they just come down as like a feeding area on their way up or way down south and they're migrating, or if it's just, just along their migratory path and an easy place to hang out for a bit before making the rest of the journey. But for whatever reason, I mean, this island is just incredible for waterfowl congregation in the fall.
Man. Well, since you don't have anything to hunt there besides birds, are you a big bird hunter then? Or not really?
I mean, I try to be. I mean, I can shoot and hit deer. I can shoot at ducks. So if that gives you any idea of things. So yeah, I'll give it a try up here this fall. I mean, this past year I went back home for the most part for hunting, just because I actually had time then. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get into it a little bit more this year. I mean, just driving around. I mean, I'd go out and see some of the river bays that hadn't frozen over, and they'd be completely black with birds.
Yeah,
like you could just cover your eyes and just shoot in the general direction. You'd probably feel like 10 limits. It was insane.
So then,
Brett has a chance.
Yeah, I have a chance then. So you have to go back to Maine in order to hunt deer and other type of game then?
So without getting a guide, so how it works in Maine, I mean, you're not required to get a guide to hunt. And obviously being from there and being a resident, I can go there and just hunt off my license. So this year, actually, I'm going to be hunting around the Maritimes coming up. So black bear, caribou, and whitetail deer, obviously. But you have to have a resident with you that's willing to take you along with them, or you have to hire a guide. So, but I mean, hey, got some pretty good offers. So, I mean, I couldn't turn that down.
So you're basically just up there fishing then?
For the most part. And then come October, November, I'm finally out in the woods. Unfortunately, not much in PEI, but I mean, hey, I'll go where the big game is.
What would you say you learned the most that's helped you from Maine to PEI, at least for fishing wise?
Honestly, just understanding like hatches and like just basic fish biology when it comes to fishing. I mean, yeah, the rivers are different. Your gravel and stuff like that. All your substrate's going to be different, but I mean, honestly, the fish behave the same general way. So as long as you know how to target like trout and salmon in one area, you can pretty much catch them anywhere you go.
Now, I'm not the big. I don't know really a whole lot about fishing. I know in April it's a great time for bass fishing. I know that. Enlighten at least me and everyone here something unique about like bass fishing or just something fishing wise up there that people should be concerned about.
Definitely like if PI specific or just like in the region as a whole.
You can do both or either one.
Definitely invasive species. I mean, obviously, Atlantic salmon, for anyone who knows about them, they used to go all the way south as New York. And, obviously people expand and, our population, more development comes in, the habitats don't get it, they get degraded. And then eventually when people start introducing other species for sport fish purposes. So obviously rainbow trout, they're native to the western part of North America, right? They shouldn't be out here in the east. You put something out here just for sporting value, people, value, because they're fun to catch and they're everywhere. But at the same time, you can't have two things that occupy the same, point in an ecosystem and have them coexist. So you start out in the night, and again, the place used to be 98% old growth forest, and now it's like maybe 40-45% forested across the island. So you have to take that into account. But I mean, rainbow trout, steelhead, whatever you want to call them, they're found all across the island, and salmon are down to I think maybe like a quarter, like 25% of their historic range here. So
nice.
Just looking at if you're putting something in for sporting value, you got to be careful that it's not going to wipe out what you already have.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, what fish are you specifically targeting? Like when you go out, what's your main go to if you're going out there?
So primarily, I'm trying to go for Atlantic salmon, but they're fairly rare in the rivers here because they come in to spawn typically after the season closes. So I try to target them, but place is also really good for sea run brook trout. You can get those anywhere from 1 to 2 all the way up to I guess 9 pounds in some of the rivers up here. So
okay, you running egg sacks? Are you are you running bait? Are you running just lures? Are you fly fishing? How are you going about it?
Primarily fly fishing with streamers. I mean, you got these big fish. I mean, they will take nymphs when they get that big if they're like right in front of them. But typically, nice little shiny streamer about that big. They see a little injured fish twitching around. They hammer it every time.
Nice. So what's your setup? What size weight rod are you using for that? Like a 9 or?
I will hang on before you answer that, Squatch. I need to let Johnny go. He's got a family emergency to go to.
Get off here real quick, guys. Wyatt, good talking to you, man. I'm going to listen to you guys from the truck.
Good talking to you too, man.
Okay, John.
Yeah. So what I was saying was, what's your setup for your weight rods and stuff? If you're running something like that, or are you running fluorocarbon for your leaders?
Usually I'll have like a fluorocarbon leader, at least for my 9 weight, just because in the event I hook into a striper or a salmon, I don't want that thing to snap. Typically, I'm going to the smaller streams for brook trout, like in the upper headwaters. So I'm usually fine running my 5 weight. I haven't come into too many issues with it, other than a couple of times when that thing just completely horsed my line and broke me off. But usually the 5 weight's good. Or like an 8.5, 9 foot rod. So does the trick pretty well.
Do you do any bead fishing?
So what, Squatch, when you asked him, do you use an egg sac? What does that mean?
So for salmon, typically, I'm sure he probably knows of it. Oswego County, Oswego has a lot of salmon run. When I was a kid, we used to go up there and float egg sacks. So what it is, it looks like a little piece of net, and you tie it. You actually take salmon eggs, and they're like reddish color or an orange color or a yellow color, and you tie a sack and then put a hook through it with a small weight that slips in and out of the line. You throw it out, and then you let the current kind of bounce it along. And those salmon come in and they hit that egg sac and they take off with it. So that's why I mentioned the egg sacs. I didn't know if he fished with egg sacs or, because a lot of salmon guys, they do that. But he's fly fishing. He's using fly rods and stuff like that. So, that's a whole different process what he's doing. What I was going to ask you, Wyatt, before that was, do you try bead fishing for your brookies and stuff up there?
Not typically. What I'll typically do, it's similar to the egg sac thing you mentioned, is I'll take like a beaded egg pattern fly, like a little. I don't know if this is the actual name or if this is just what they're called in Maine, New Hampshire, but it's called a crystal meth pattern fly, and it's basically just like really, it's like a shiny orange thing that looks like a cluster of sucker eggs, and I'll fish that with a little bead head on it, and that seems to do the trick really well.
Nice, man. Yeah, we used to make them up. I mean, geez, I remember we were getting ready to go on a trip when I was a kid with my father. And Oswego's about 3.5, 4 hours from where I live. And the whole night before, my old man's getting the stuff out. He's making all these, things and rigs for the next day. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? He's like, oh, that's how you catch the salmon. I'm like, okay. So we go out there and we'd actually wade out in the river, and there's guys shoulder to shoulder. And, it's like, fish on. Hey, dummy, get out of the way. And you're like trying to reel your fish in and snagged in like 13 other people's lines. And it's a shit show, but it's, what, you can catch some really nice ones. And I got some friends of mine that actually they'll go out in their boat and kind of anchor out and, they'll get the salmon. I haven't been on any kind of salmon stuff in a long time. I went out on a boat we caught a couple salmon when we were out, but nothing huge. They were just like, typical 5-6 pounders, nothing up in the double digits. So, but that's cool. That's cool.
I want to ask, why are you more of a lake or a fish lake or a river? Which one do you kind of primarily go to fishing wise?
Now for ice fishing, obviously I do a lot of that in Maine, being in, one of the northernmost state in the Northeast, but by and large for open water, I'm a big river guy. Go out there, flowing water with a fly rod. I mean, you really can't beat it.
Yeah.
Was it hard to learn fly fishing? Because I've always wanted to do that. I've watched TV shows with fly fishing, stuff like that. I always thought that was fascinating. but I never did it. Obviously, I never got into doing that. I never have any friends that. I never have any friends. I still have no friends really in life. I have brothers. That's what I have.
Yeah.
I just learned a couple years ago casting more like I can't remember the name exactly, but it just seemed fly fishing would be easy and hard to learn all at the same time.
It can be, especially if you're coming out from just like, spin cast fishing, because I mean, but at the end of the day, the only difference is like when you're spinner fishing or anything along those lines, it's just the weight of your lure is pulling your line. In fly fishing, it's just the weight of your line that's flinging your fly out. So really, as long as you can master just a basic cast, which is just like a 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock back and forth, you pretty much have it at that point.
Well, this might be a stupid question, but how the fuck do you know? Because I see them going like this, back and forth, and it's like the line barely touches the water, and they know when to catch, and they're like, all right, I got one right there.
So kind of how it works is like you pretty much build up momentum. So like when say you're in your forward cast, eventually when all your line is out, you're gonna feel a little tug at the top of it. And that way, all your line and all your momentum's, in front of you, and then you can pull it back, and then you can pull a bit of line out to give yourself, more line to cast. You just kind of keep repeating that process back and forth till you kind of get like an eyeball of like, all right, that's generally enough line I need in order to get to where I want to cast it. And then you pretty much just go complete 90 degrees in front of you. As long as you've been doing that where you can feel the tension on each end before you, go back and forth, it'll go right where you need it to go.
So, Brett, to like layman's terms for you, it's like you bow hunt with a compound. Fly fishing is like hunting with a recurve, in the fishing world. So it's a little bit more, paying attention to the details. Do you tie your own flies, Wyatt?
Oh yeah.
You do. Cool. So he'll match the hatch.
A lot of instinct.
He'll match the hatch. He'll go out on the river or read reports, and they'll say, okay, they got a caddis nymph that's starting to hatch now. So he'll go in his box and he'll match that up, or maybe he doesn't have any. He's got to tie some, but it's an art. It's another step. It's like making your own arrows for your bow, but he's making his own flies to fly fish, which is really cool, But go ahead.
No, I was curious. How long does it take to make your own lure?
I mean, not too terribly long. Like I can probably crank out like a dozen in about an hour once I get to it, because I typically tie streamers, which are a little bit bigger, and there's not a whole lot of stuff going into them. So you got your body material, get your tail, bead head or whatever, and as long as you can get it's really just the finishing knot. That if you know how to do that, then they come pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always tie I'm sure you've probably seen like those like steelhead and Atlantic salmon streamers, those really complex ones you see in like picture frames and whatnot. Yeah. I don't fish with that, and it's just not necessary. So, like if you're trying to tie something like that, then yeah, you could be at that all day long. But if you want something they're going to eat, it doesn't take long at all.
So what rod company are you using? Fenwick or Pfluger, or what's your company? What do you like?
It's a local one to Maine actually called Maine Fly Company. So they're based out of I should know this. It's somewhere in southern Maine near Portland.
Okay.
But yeah, they make them all by hand in Maine. So I'm like, hey, supporting a local business, and honestly, they make a fantastic rod. So
that's great. That's
really good. The 5-weight that I have. I mean, without the reel, the whole rod only weighs 4 ounces. So it's like casting, butter.
Yeah, air. You're just casting air.
Yeah.
Now I know with spinning rods, you got like medium fast, medium heavy. What are your like your brookie setup? You said you're going with a 5-weight. Now, is that like a 5-weight fast tip so you can feel that brookie hit real quick and light on there?
Kind of for the most part, because like if you go like up in size, it definitely becomes more stout. So like if you were to run a 5-weight, which is basically your general, trout rod, small bass, small salmon type of rod, I mean, you'll feel like, you could still feel like, 4 or 5 inch fish, but I mean, like, if you were to downsize to like a 3 or a 4-weight, that's going to have a lot more flex to it, and then you're really going to feel it. But
gotcha. That's cool. Now, do you run any floaters or anything like that when you're running your setup, or are you just strictly that streamer setup, no floaters on your line?
Oh, when I do nymphing, especially in the fall for steelhead, I'll do like a little float, and then maybe like foot and a half below it, I'll run like maybe 2-3 nymphs. So that's cool. Most productive pattern once the season gets really late.
Yeah, you're keeping that bait just kind of like suspended over the rocks, and those fish they're resting behind those rocks, and they'll come up and just smash onto that lure. A technique, a lot of like the local streams up here, we had a really good one for years, and then it got ruined when we had the hurricanes come through. But I had a nice mountain stream where I could catch like 14, 15-inch brook trout all day long in it. And, the setup was stay low. And I'm a spin fisherman. I dipped and dabbed with the fly rods and stuff over the years and working in sporting goods stores and stuff. So I know very little bit about it. But I would take just a little chunk of worm and a small hook. I'd cast it upstream and just let it float natural down between the little eddies and the back pools. And those brook trout, as long as they didn't see it, they would come up and just smash it, And it was fun. It was fun. But when we got the hurricanes, what ended up happening was the rush of water through these mountain streams took all the boulders and rocks and filled all these pools and holes, and the spots are ruined. And it's like, I went up there. I was looking forward to going to Brookies one day, and after that happened, the spots were totally gone. They weren't even there anymore. A lot of those fish probably got washed downstream into the main river. And, it was nice while it was there, but I had little honey holes in state land. I used to like trek down there. I actually had a mother bear and 2 cubs come across the path like 20 yards away from me. And I'm standing there with my pole in my hand, and I'm like, oh God, please don't get mad at me. I'm just standing here fishing because she had her cubs with her, and she turned around and she started snapping her teeth. And I didn't even have my pistol on me because I wasn't a pistol holder at the time. I was so young. I had just started driving around and finding places to fish. And I was like, this bear is going to kill me. And I'm like, where the hell can I go? I'm in a valley. I mean, she's going to tear me apart. But luckily, she just kind of snapped her teeth a little bit, and then she put her head down and kind of went after her young up the mountain again. But it was pretty cool. It was really pretty cool.
I didn't realize what an eddy was, and I'm not the person to explain what an eddy is. So, Squatch or Wyatt, you want to explain what an eddy is? And the reason I say is because there's a school in our conference that we played. They were called the Edwardsburg Eddies, and we were wondering what the fuck is an eddy? What the fuck? And they said, obviously, come to find out, it was in the fish stream, like it was like that pool underneath like a rock behind the thing, and they'd circle and swirl shit like that. Yeah. But their mascot was like what's that guy's name from like Wisconsin and the UP, that lumberjack dude?
Oh, Babe Winkleman? Babe Winkleman? No,
I don't think it was him.
I don't know.
Lumberjack something.
Okay.
I can't remember his name, but he was basically a miner. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So it was just weird how I got older and was like, oh, this is what an eddy is. Anyways, I digress. Wyatt, are you able to explain what an actual eddy is?
Yeah, it's like that like back pool kind of swirling thing that'll form behind like a large boulder, or if you have like a big enough like log in the river. So it's a spot where a lot of fish will hang up because it's not going to put as much pressure on them from currents. They can just kind of sit there and wait for food to get blown right in front of their face.
Yeah.
So basically, it's an object that goes out in the river, and it's stuff behind it, and it just swirls in like a circle right there.
Yeah, because the current just comes back and it just backfills it, so it creates like a spinning current that's a lot slower than the actual main current itself.
Mm.
If you've ever took a trolling motor and kind of like turned it on but didn't have it down deep enough, and you get that little circle of water that kind of spins like a little tornado behind you. Yeah. That's an eddy, but just imagine a boulder or a log or something out creating that. And the reason why fish love it, like Wyatt said, was there's just a lot less pressure hydraulically on that fish. And what they'll do is they'll sit there, but that flow is taking like, night crawlers that have fallen in the bank or bugs or whatever's floating down the river. And they just sit there and they're not spending so much energy. And they're like, oh, look. And they, they get what they get. Yeah, it's like a buffet for them at the Eddy, it's like the Eddy buffet. So, but yeah, that's some good techniques. So what's your biggest brook trout you've managed to land up there?
Oh, managed to land being the key part. I
Yeah,
hooked into one last fall when I was going for one of the extended season spots that was probably about 6.5 pounds. And
Nice. Wow.
there's a video of me breaking off on it, and I don't think that needs to be published anywhere. But
Yeah, I know the feeling.
biggest one I netted, I was helping out some of the people working with the fisheries department up here like a week before the season opened. So they were doing like a tagging project, and I think the biggest one I netted was like 3.5 pounds, I think. And again, these are all sea-run brook trout, so these aren't like your residents and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they fight a lot big, pound for pound. They're a lot more powerful fighting fish than a regular brook trout would be.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. Are their fins a little different than a regular brook trout, like a North American brook trout? They got like a longer fin because they're a sea fish?
Like proportionally, they're the same. The difference is like they're more silvery colored, kind of like if you look at steelhead or Atlantic salmon before they come into the rivers. So you can still kind of make out, okay, these are the blue and red spots, but like if you look at the side of them, it's like all like matte gray silver color. So
yeah,
really cool to look at.
I wonder if they almost look like a splake, because splake are silvery.
Kind of, actually in a way.
Yeah, I wonder if they're more like kind of like in that splake family. Some of the Adirondack lakes and stuff that I've fished up there landlocked, they got splake in them and stuff. They're pretty good. They're good eating too. It's a nice eating fish. They put up a good fight. But that's cool. Now, do you ever go out, from the island? Do you fish out, on the coast, or do you go out on maybe a charter boat and fish for some other species? Are the salmon out in the ocean? You're going out for them on a boat maybe or something like that?
So I've been on the boat for mackerel and striper so far. I'm planning on doing a deep sea trip this year off of the north shore of PEI to go for cod, haddock.
That would be
maybe
great.
even tuna, depending on if we can get enough people together for that. But not so much, at least for trout and salmon. I know we plan on going to Nova Scotia here in a couple weeks, try to go for sea-run brown trout, and then I don't know if it's open or not, so maybe salmon if I can do it by then. Who knows?
Nice.
But
nice.
Yeah, pretty much kind of traveling the rivers along the coast and seeing what's running in them at that point. I'm there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really it's fun to get out and explore the different spots that you can get into and see what you can catch. Especially with that fly rod, it's a challenge. It's it's not like throwing bait. You can catch pretty much anything on when you're out there, but you got to match the hatch and fool their eyes. They got really good eyes. They can see.
So I'm on this website. Titled Prince Edward Island Fishing, the complete guide for 2025. First off, this photo they have there is amazing, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows the type of saltwater fish that you can catch there, tuna, a cod, while this woman's kissing the fish. I don't know. Good for her. Atlantic mackerel. This mackerel looks like a fucking artard. Freshwater trout. Oh my gosh. I want to catch a trout now. Yeah, perch up there. I for some reason I thought perch were only home to Michigan. I feel betrayed now in my own weird way. But then you have Prince Edward Island fly fishing. The aesthetics, just looking at this photo just makes you, oh my God. It looks like Alaska. What's so funny? Michael, the website he is on his only.
Leave it up to that freaking kid, right? Jeez.
He's 14 years old, and that's all he does is fuck with us, man.
He's got nothing. He ain't paying attention in school, so he's like, what can I say on Tuesday night and Sunday nights when I get on the show with Brett and Squatch and Johnny and Dave?
Yeah, what do I want to say about that?
That is definitely not from the island.
It's not?
No. The island's pretty flat. There's no mountains like that or hills.
Well, this is the photo. So I got it right here. This is the main photo.
Yep, that would be the capital, Charlottetown.
And then here tuna.
Now that on a fly rod would be fun.
Oh my gosh,
it's fucking massive, dude.
I know one guy back home that actually it was a bluefin, but granted, I think it was only 200 pounds or so, and I think he fought for 14 hours, but he never lost the fish and got it on the boat.
See, she's kissing the fish.
That's a walleye. She's kissing a walleye.
I guess so. I don't know what this is, but this Atlantic mackerel just screams artard to me. Not the kid, the fish.
Yeah, those things are stupid easy to catch. Just take like a little I don't know if you've ever heard of like sabiki trees or anything like that.
Yeah, sabiki.
Yeah, you just take that with a little red double on the bottom, just bounce it off the bottom of the sand, and they'll hammer it left and right.
Huh.
Yeah, like right there, that's so like that's like what I was talking about for like the sea run brook trout. Like if you zoom in a little bit, you can see like the side of it, how it's like all like white gray. Like you don't see like the typical brook trout colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they will color up like your resident fish once they get into freshwater and they start spawning. But like when they first come in, just like fresh salmon or steelhead, all silver like that.
You can tell the brook trout too by the jaw line. It's their face is kind of rounded, like almost like a bullet, like the head of a bullet, like a round nosed bullet. Where the other trout, like big Lakers and stuff, their jawline goes way back. It's like they're a total different fish. And they're pretty cool though.
Wow. Wyatt, what's it like? We're getting close to wrapping up the show for tonight. I want to ask, for anyone that wants to come up there to Prince Edward Island, what would be some laws or requirements that they, besides getting your passport and stuff like that, to travel, but to come up there, what would they need to know?
Obviously, you're going to want to know like water-specific regs, because a lot of places are fly fishing only or artificial only. But because again, this is an area where Atlantic salmon can still legally be fished. Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. Obviously, that's been shut down for decades now. So they're really protective of Atlantic salmon. Whether you're targeting brook trout or steelhead up here. So a lot of places will have barbless only regulations throughout the whole watershed or certain sections. So when you get your fishing license, so like if you look at like a hook, how like on the end of it, it'll be like a little notch coming out.
Oh, yeah, like the back end. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like you'll either have to pinch the barb down before you go fishing, or you'll have to have it where there's just like a straight point coming in with no barb. So that's obviously a very important thing to have. Obviously, you're fishing regs for like what you can and can't harvest, but I mean, hey, that's kind of given wherever you go.
Yeah.
But just making sure whether you have a barb hook or not is huge difference, especially depending on what you want to target up here.
What makes that point so special? Granted, we have a stupid law. Like I know in Idaho, you can't have lighted knocks. I get sometimes they're just stupid laws. Yeah, exactly. Like explain how lighted knocks you can't have on your arrow setup when you're hunting out there in Idaho. It could have changed, but I know as of last year, something like that, it was still a law. Is that just a weird law there that you have up there in PEI, or is that something specific? There's a reason to it.
Yeah, so the reason to it, like if you have like a hook, if it's like really deeply embedded into like the mouth of a fish, or if they swallow it, especially if it's an Atlantic salmon, which you're not allowed to harvest, you want to have the most minimal amount of damage to it. So like if it's barbless, the hole you're putting in the fish is just gonna be as wide as the the width of your hook. Right. If there's a barb in it, it could get caught, it could tear more tissue, and it could lead to damage that could lead to an infection or potentially kill the fish.
Yeah.
So because they're endangered, they just don't, and rightfully so. You want to make sure that people can still fish for them. So making it so people can target them and leave as little damage to the salmon as possible. Again, if you're fishing, a lot of people don't like barbless hooks, but really the only difference is just don't give them any slack, and you're not going to lose the fish.
Keep the head pressure on them.
Yep.
Sorry, but the in the Hudson River here, the stripers run up the Hudson. They made regulations now. You can only use a circle hook. You can't use any other hooks. You used to be able to use treble or a snell or whatever, but now they only allow you to use a circle hook because they don't want that going deeper down into the striper's mouth and killing it. It does happen, but a lot of the problems with circle hooks is guys who use chunk bait herring. So what'll happen is the fish will come up to grab the chunk herring by the head, and the circle hook will actually hook back into the bait, and it won't hook the striper in the mouth. So guys are like, this sucks, I lost another one. They're just running with it and spitting it out. And, it happens. But that's what the state regs are like here. They said no more. It's got to be a circle hook. So
before I get to my next question, do a lot of people prefer just regular hooks, or do they prefer the hooks with the notch?
Honestly, a lot of people I've talked to, and again, a lot of them have been fly fishing, but even some spin fishermen, even if they're in a body of water that you can use barbed hook, they're not running them. One big reason is if you get caught on a branch and you pull your hook back and it comes in and hits you, you don't want to be pulling out a barbed hook. Speaking from experience, I was out at a river, which I'm not going to name it, back in Maine, because I don't want that thing getting overfished. But I was going for landlocked salmon, and I had this really, really good fly I tied, but And at the time, I was only tying with, barbed hooks. And that thing came back at like probably 100 miles an hour and went right into my thumb.
Oh, shit.
Like all the way down to the bend of the hook. And that was a very unpleasant time getting that out. So since that day, I have not fished with a barbed hook.
I remember, what was it? I was 10, I think. I was fishing up in the UP with my grandma and grandpa along with my sister. I'm facing one side of the boat. She's on the other side of the boat. And you can already see how I'm going with this. She flings back to cast it. And this motherfucker somehow gets it caught in my fucking cheek. And I'm just like, and then she started yanking it. And I'm like, Ashley, fucking stop. Crying like a little bitch. It hurt so bad, man.
That was your first piercing.
That was my first piercing.
We had a kid. We had a kid on the docks. We were down on Long Beach Island one time, and this guy that we had went down with, part of the family and stuff, his kids running around, and his dad casts back and hooks the little bastard right in the ear, and this kid is screaming bloody murder, and it's lodged in his lobe of his ear. So his old man's like, how the hell are we going to get that out? I says, I'll get it out, but you're going to have to hold him. So I got about my forearm on his neck. He's got him by the legs, and I got a pair of needle nose pliers. I had to push that son of a bitch through his ear and then crunch the barb down and then pull it back out. And that kid was screaming bloody murder, man, for like an hour. But we got the hook out.
Did you have a question there, Wyatt?
I was gonna say, do you fish the UP often, or plan on going there anytime soon?
I fished the UP. I haven't fished up there in 12 years, but I have a couple spots up there that I just fucking love.
The reason I was asking was, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's the UP or it might be the upper part of the lower peninsula, but the Michigan, I think they've just finally started reintroducing Arctic grayling back into some rivers and lakes in that region.
Sounds right.
Really?
Yes, they used to have Arctic grayling all the way up to Michigan. Then, back when people were, not really caring for the environment or forest cover, they destroyed streams and stuff and they died out. So they had a program to reintroduce them back into the state. So yeah. I think it's been either 1 or 2 years, but they've been stocking some lakes in the UP, and then there's some rivers, I think also in the UP, but definitely in the upper part of the lower peninsula. So if you don't want to go to Alaska, or I think Montana has them still, they're finally back.
I'm trying to show a picture of what you're referring to right here. So for anyone that doesn't know what an Arctic grayling is, this right here. I have never caught one of those motherfuckers.
Now, get a picture of one of their spawning colors, and then tell me that you've seen a prettier salmonid fish.
Spawning?
Yep.
If you see one, let me know.
Let's see. You see that one with the hand? It's kind of purple looking.
This one?
Nope. Go to the right a little bit more, and then down one.
Oh, this one right here.
Just to the left of it.
Oh, right here.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Can you explain this for the audio version, Wyatt?
Yeah, so you've got like a really good rainbow hue. Think of like a whitefish, but like every imaginable color. You have like blues, purples, greens, yellows, bright red tail. So like more colorful than a brook trout. And honestly, they're a super stunning fish, and they've got a really big dorsal fin in the back of it, bigger than any other salmonid species you can catch.
That fish almost looks like it's like oil stain on a puddle of water. That's the coloring. You could almost imagine. It goes from like a purple to like a pink to green. Really neat.
I don't know what it is, but some fish just give me that look of like it's an invasive species, and just the look of this gives me that feeling like it just looks like an alien.
Like a tropical fish, but it's like so out of place.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a cold water tropical fish.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wyatt, I want to say thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. I learned a lot more about fishing. I love to fish. I want to get more into fishing. With that being said, I got some rapid fire questions I want to shoot your way first, okay? Well, first off, Michael wants to ask, what kind of hunting do you do, Wyatt? We've already discussed this if you were watching the start of the show, Michael, you piece of shit.
Oh God, he hunts with whatever he wants to hunt, Michael. I mean,
He
geez.
hunts fucking worms. That's what he does,
Yeah.
Michael. That's what he deals with.
He hunts hackle shops so he can find hack to tie his flies.
He hunts cougars and not the one with 4 paws. It's the one with 2 feet and giant boobies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez, Michael, pay attention. I thought you were a fan of the show.
He was playing Nintendo and he tuned back to the show and he lost track of what was going on.
Yeah. Why? Well, to answer his question, can you answer his question for him?
So primarily big game, deer, black bear. When I can get tags, other stuff like moose. I'll dabble in bird hunting too, like rough grouse, pheasant, turkey, if I can ever manage to shoot one, and then waterfowl as well.
Hey, I got a quick question. Why have you ever ran into Hal Blood?
No, weirdly enough. I've almost met him at a couple of the different sportsman shows back in Maine, but I've read I think it was a book he wrote, but I've seen his podcast a lot. Really knowledgeable big woods hunter from northern Maine. So
yeah, he's great. I love watching his stuff on Big Woods Outdoors there on YouTube. He's just a down to earth guy. I mean, he's like us, man. He doesn't care about the publicity or all that crap. He just wants to go out, still hunt deer and freaking dude gets on him, man. He gets on. It's one of my favorite times. I would love to go to Maine and do a big woods hunt myself, someday.
Honestly, and probably some people are going to get mad I'm revealing this bit, but honestly, if you go up here during the muzzleloader season, you're probably not going to encounter a single other hunter no matter where you go.
Yeah.
People just give up after the end of rifle. I mean, like last year when I went down, I only had the black powder season to hunt, so took my inline out, and I'm like, well, shit, there's no one else out here. So like anywhere I wanted to go, I could shoot pretty much anything wherever.
That's awesome.
That was a question before we get to the rapid fire segment. When would be the best time to someone come up there to come fishing?
Ooh, well, it depends on if you're more of a fall or a spring guy, but
I love
April. Yeah, if you're going for the fall, October is good if you go to one of these extended season places. So there's a few places across the state that have late season stuff because typically everything's shut down by October 1st. But there's a few places that run till like mid-October or the end of October, and you can get like full spawning dress colored brook trout and landlocked salmon, occasionally even lake trout too in some of the rivers as well. But I mean, end of September, if you're just going to try to go anywhere in the state, that would be ideal. So then you can go into other stuff like Arctic char or whitefish or pond-based brook trout and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely want to come up there and at least try fishing if I get the fucking money and the time to do it. I can't even fake time to take a piss. I will say this before we get to rapid fire. Michael's got nothing. He's been silent. Come on, Michael.
Well, he's in that segment where he's not paying attention again, and then he's going to get on and say, well, what's the best time to go up there and fish? And you're going to be like, you asshole, you already said it. Shut up. And then he's going to cry. He probably won't come back on the show again for a while.
He hates us.
That's all right.
It's all right.
Sorry, he'll get over it.
Wyatt, rapid fire segment. We got about 7 questions for you, okay?
All right, let's hear it.
Besides hunting and fishing, do you have any other hobbies or interests?
Yeah, I like mountain hiking. It's a lot of fun. I do like photography a bit, kind of capture, snippets of different like habitat that you can find. I'm pretty avid in canoeing and kayaking, paddling around different lakes. Even without the rod, I mean, just being on the water in any way with watercraft is honestly a lot of fun.
I do love the kayak. That is pretty fun. It's a nice little workout. You do a nice core workout, shoulder workout, but just floating along the river or the lake. I like it, man. That's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong.
Do you have one that you go in, or do you have one that you sit on top of?
Oh, one I go in. It's got like a internal compartment. There's a thing if I can get the thing working, but it's like a zipper thing you can kind of put around it. I mean, I'm never gonna take this thing whitewater, but it seals it in, so like if you ever capsize, you can just kind of like free-ride yourself when you're dry. Yeah.
What about you, Brett? What about you, Brett? You got the one you sit on or one you go in?
I just sit on it, and if I fall out, I'm fucked. But I've seen these ones out there where you can like these motorized ones. They're like pretty badass, and I was like, "Ooh, I'd love to get one of those."
So you're taking the exercise out of it that way. You always got to go the lazy route.
I know. I'm a lazy fuckhead. I'm sorry.
If it don't have a freaking motor in or something, I don't want to do it. Really?
The only thing I like with motors is motorboating. Okay, that's the only thing.
Well, who doesn't? Right? But I'm just saying, like, it's not a kayak then. You're like in a banana hammock kind of situation with the motorboat and stuff. I don't know how the hell you get in a kayak anyway with that big ass head. That fucking boat would want to go right around again, bouncing your head off the rocks.
I don't know how you can see my big head down here when I don't have it on screen, but it is pretty fucking big. Don't get me wrong.
God, here he goes to his OnlyFans page now.
Oh, you were referring to my cranium. It's still pretty big.
Yeah, Richard Noggin. I'm talking about your Richard Noggin. Jeez. All right. Back to the segment. Back to the rapid fire questions. It's getting dirty.
Wyatt, the entire time we've been talking, even off air and during the show, he's like, "What the fuck did I get involved with?
Why did I come on the show?
Why did I agree to? It's fucking stupid."
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a show where we talk about fishing and hunting.
Yeah, it's not pervs and motorboating and hunting cougars and giant dicks and shit.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, that's the tardation that comes out of us here on the Whitetail Advantage. And,
exactly, it comes about. We're digress. Why? I am so sorry, man. We're just going off the rails.
These rapid fire questions have turned into a shit show. So get back to the rapid fire questions.
We try to keep these rapid fire questions like, all right, straight to the point. Yep. All right, sweet, awesome. And we learn a little bit more about them, and then wrap it up. Instead of like 5 to 10 minutes, we make it into like an hour itself.
There's nothing rapid about it. You might as well call it like slow motion questions.
We're gonna call this the glacier fire questions. The glacier questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Glacier freeze.
I'm starting to think it's more like the broad spectrum questions because we just get off on a freaking tangent, and it's like, and then, and it's like, come on, you're holding the guest up. Maybe he's got to go to the bathroom.
Maybe he does. I don't fucking know.
I think Johnny got the shits, and that's why he had to get off the show. I really do.
Understandable.
That's family emergency, gotta go. No.
Fucking Michael, he's asking to you.
Here we go.
Fucking Michael's question.
I told you. He's playing Fortnite and got back to the show, and he didn't hear what the questions were. So
here's Michael's question: do you do any upland game? He was not paying attention.
He doesn't even pay attention.
To clarify, I do a lot of upland game shooting. I don't really do a lot of upland game killing.
Michael, we'll say this. It's probably the best place to go in the world. Yeah. Take you to it. Anyways, rapid fire questions. Jeez, fuck, man. Stop distracting me. Wyatt. Oh my gosh.
Come on, Brett. Get with the program. You suck.
I'm sorry. When you start talking about big dicks, my brain goes somewhere else.
You're holding up our guest. He's probably got other people to talk to that are more important. So just get on with it.
Michael, I had to get off for a few minutes, you fuckers. LOL. Yeah, you went to the bathroom for a few minutes. That's all right. Yeah. Oh, look. There's my pecker. Let's see what that does.
He's like that little bird. Want to see my pecker?
What? What's growing down there? Oh my gosh, it's pecker.
Want to see my pecker?
Yeah. All right, do the freaking questions already. Come on, hurry up. Jesus, if I knew what the freaking next question was, I'd ask it. I forgot what it is.
What animal's on your bucket list to hunt?
So that was what animal is on your bucket list to hunt?
Oh, so caribou, and that's going to be done this upcoming year. So happy to do that. Nice. Aside from that, though, probably pronghorn out west. Definitely up there on the list.
I'd love to go pronghorn hunting. I don't think we have a guest stay pronghorn hunting.
Well, I actually was supposed to go up.
Michael, yo, Pumpkinhead, shut up and go play on your grinder account.
So, I was actually supposed to be going on a pronghorn mule deer hunt this past fall. So I got cleared with my grad advisor and everything. And then I think a couple weeks before we were supposed to go out, a wildfire started hitting Wyoming. There was a river that was separating this. It was a big, huge private game ranch we were going to go on. It wasn't not a ranch, it was like free ranging, a big open pasture and stuff. Not a high fence hunter. So don't.
I remember reading about that fire, and it was basically just as big as that one in California. But the only
Yep.
reason it didn't get the status, if you want to call it, or the notoriety through media was because
Popularity. Yeah.
the popularity, because it wasn't in California.
Yep.
It was like, oh, it's just another wildfire. But like, this motherfucking wildfire isn't just no tic tac. Oh, I burnt 5 acres. This thing burnt a shit ton of land.
Like several wildlife, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what they're called, like wildlife management unit out there or whatever.
Yeah, like it went through a
They
lot.
torched like 3 or 4 of them completely. Like the whole
Yeah.
ranch was nothing but just ash. So we're like, all right, we're just gonna get our tag refund and go another year when this is all grown back. But
Right. Like it was just a fire that happened out in the woods compared to that one where it was like, oh, we're gonna kill thousands of houses. Oh, it's just another fire out in the woods. No, it's not. I'm recording a segment on Wild America where I read off articles of stuff like this. So videos of that would be released, and one of them is actually covering that fire.
Wow.
What is an animal you want to try eating?
ooh, does it have to be one you can hunt?
Or you can be a fish.
Oh yeah. You know, I've always wondered what like walrus tastes like, you know? I mean, you gotta think like if you look like another
fatty.
But you know, that's what I thought too. But then I was talking to someone who ate seal meat, and it's like if you look
Yeah.
like a cow or whatever, like you kind of like they get the fat kind of marbled into the meat and everything.
Yeah.
It's like no, like I guess with like seals at least. I mean, I don't know if this is the same thing with walrus or whatever, or like other like marine mammals, but like you've got your meat and then you've got nothing but fat right underneath the skin. So it's like all like super dense dark red meat, and then you got that layer. So I mean, it's just so like different from like anything you can like conventionally hunt, unless you're with like an Inuit group in like northern Canada, Greenland, or Alaska. So it's just
Right.
something out of the ordinary that you wouldn't be able to try anywhere else.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite state that you've hunted or fished?
Hunted, got to rep Maine, big shout out there. But fished, oh, I fished quite a few, but I got to give it to Maine. I mean, there's a really good variety of cold water fish up there that you really aren't going to find anywhere else in the Northeast. But yeah, Maine, close second, tied for second, probably PEI or Vermont, I'd say.
What is the top state you want to hunt and or fish?
Oh, easy, Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like everyone.
I mean, you've got like so many different varieties of, salmon, trout, whitefish, and stuff like that. And then, I mean, obviously the big game, and you got even grizzlies, caribou. I mean, there's just so much variety and so much to choose from up there.
Right. Grizzlies scare me. But I want to hunt them.
You know they used to have those in northern Quebec, way back when?
I did hear something about that, yeah.
Yeah, it was up in the Ungava region between there and Labrador. So they had, I can't remember exactly how they got there, but like they ended up dying out during like the fur trapping period. The French and British were coming in. But I mean, we had East Coast grizzlies. It's just, I mean, kind of a shame that we don't have them anymore. It'd be cool to go up there and see them.
Did you ever see that video where this guy, he put on a trail camera out there and there was like this light? I'm assuming it was just from the trail camera, but then all of a sudden this grizzly bear just starts walking up, and then it's like a giant semi truck just walking through the woods of like this giant massive bear that just comes out of nowhere. First you just see its head and you think, oh, it's just a normal ordinary, I don't want to say ordinary, but your average size bear. But then it gets out more and it's just like fucking massive, huge. I'm like, I want to hunt one of those motherfuckers, but I'm insane for wanting to hunt that thing. Oh my gosh.
Because like one of those things, like they can kill you just as much as you can kill them.
And they're fast too. You don't think they're fast. You wouldn't think that they're fast because they're big and stuff like that, but those motherfuckers are fast.
Yeah.
Like I don't get how people think when they say like a gorilla versus a grizzly bear. I mean, they have that debate of, oh, what would win, stuff like that. I think the only reason people would say a gorilla is because, oh, it can stand on 2 feet, it can use its arms, and it's got strength, and it can use like a human type deal. But a motherfucking grizzly bear, man, I'm taking a grizzly bear 9 out of 10 times every time, man.
Well, it's just like saying, like, what's going to win? You put a Wolverine or a Badger against a person. Like, yeah, you might be a little bit bigger, but that thing's going to tear you to shreds.
Yeah. If you could pick anybody, you can get a family member and a non-family member to go on a hunting or a fishing trip with, or share a campfire with one time. Who would those people be?
Ooh, definitely. If I pick family member, my grandfather, just because you know how long and far back with different hunts in Maine he's been on. If I had to pick a non-family member, obviously you guys probably know Steve or Noah, meat eater.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like the Jeremy Waite of hunting. I mean, come on, you'd have to have him.
Yeah, there's a giant source of knowledge that he has. Last question here, Wyatt. What do you think we as fellow hunters and fishermen, outdoorsmen, could or should do to improve the outdoor community as a whole?
Honestly, give new people access. Like if you've got land, if you know spots, I mean, because eventually we're not going to be around, we're the people, fighting for this resource. If new people aren't coming into it, or they're coming into it and they're getting crowded out, or they're not having a good time, they're just going to give up and leave, and they're not going to care. So, if you want to keep having people that care about, science-based wildlife management that involves hunting as the foremost tool of it, you got to make sure people have a good time and have an opportunity to hunt stuff themselves. I mean, we all started out new somewhere and someone took us. Take someone new.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely, man. We got to start helping out the new generation coming through. I remember when I give my dad so much patience when he's just like, oh, I got to teach him and you don't know shit. And it just takes forever to like practice and train and teach them all these things. And eventually they'll pick it up. But that's what's your responsibility as a parent, an elder, coachman type deal. You're right, Wyatt. You got to take time to teach people.
That's it.
Wyatt, I just want to say thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it. Squatch, I love you too. Squatch, I'll meet you in your camper later this weekend. For people that want to reach out to you and follow along your journey, Squatch, I know you say it all the time, but how can people do that, man?
Yeah, so you guys all know, Sundays and Tuesdays at 8 o'clock, I'm on the Whitetail Advantage. I'm also on the Garden State Outdoorsman, Boondocks Outdoors, Mike Nitre, Frank Mastica. You can catch us on, the podcast shows there with everything. Instagram, Outdoors and More with the Squatch. My YouTube channel, Outdoors and More with the Squatch. Still editing out our turkey hunt where I killed my bird from a weekend or two ago. That's almost finalized, so look forward to getting that out there and letting you guys see that. And just basically all the social media platforms, you can always find me.
Wyatt, how can people follow along your journey, man?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Instagram. So if you go to like @Wyatt_Ford, you can find all my fishing and occasional successful hunting posts on there. If you ever need information on how to get into fly fishing or just any info in general about, fish ecology or whatever, shoot me a message. Always happy to answer.
Cool.
Oh man, you taught me a lot more about fishing than I already know now, and definitely have to have you come back on the show and talk more about it. Wyatt, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on the show, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me up.
Thanks. Nice meeting you.
Likewise.
Have a great night, rest of you guys, brothers.
Good night.
I botched that. I sound like an idiot right there. Anyways, well, everyone, that's going to conclude another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We want to say thank you to everyone for gathering around the electronic campfire to today's show. Now, this show made you laugh, made you think, gave you a new perspective. Please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're listening to this on the audio version, please hit that 5-star rating. Also, give us your feedback. We want to know from you guys how we can do better, how can we improve. What would you like more? What would you like less? Stuff like that. The audio versions of our podcast gets released every Monday and Wednesday at 5 a.m. If you want to be a guest on our show, or you want anyone from Whitetail Advantage to be a guest on your next episode, head to our website, whitetailadvantage.com, and submit your request through there. We have everything you need to know about Whitetail Advantage on our website. I want to take a second and say thank you to all the companies out there that's partnering up with us here at Whitetail Advantage. I also want to say thank you to all the men and women in the military for your service and your sacrifice. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you to all the police officers, the firefighters, everyone in public service, EMS as well. Thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate it. Now, with that being said, hope you all have an amazing weekend, and we'll see everyone on Sunday. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.